My name's Tom Reum. I'm chairman of the Finance and Property Committee, Wisconsin Rapids. We're meeting in the council chambers at City Hall on Tuesday, March 1st, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order. With that, we'll go to item number 2. Consider request from the fire department to approve the new ambulance fee schedule. Todd, I guess I'll go to you right away.
Okay, this was actually a request to do this, and we usually do this every 2 to 3 years, and when I look back on our last fee schedule, it actually was 2019, so we fell right in line with it this year. I started to do this and found a rate fee schedule that LifeQuest had done for a local ambulance service, and I made contact with them to ensure that that was accurate yet, and they actually said they would do one for us because we were going to be one of their new clients anyhow. So they did the survey that's in the longer sheet by you that includes Baldwin Ambulance Service, Beaver Dam, Chippewa Fire Protection District, on down the line. Includes Marshfield. Portage County actually is the Stevens Point Fire Department. They cover all of Portage County south area, and then you can see us on the end before the average. So a lot of these other departments, when I talked to the lady from LifeQuest, some of these were raised within the last year or two because of COVID, so that's probably why you see we're quite a bit behind what the rest of them are. So then they gave us the average and their recommendation for rates. And Tim can talk about this if he wants, but he actually asked that he had some suggestions. I think some of you, if not all of you, got his email about adding some amounts to the non-resident rates. So I don't know if Tim wants to speak to that.
Tim, are you online? Our finance director?
Yes, I am. So basically, we've always historically had a non-resident rate, and I was looking at the average across the board. I just suggested a $200 surcharge for non-resident rate on the BLS, ALS rates.
So then the other paper I gave you is just, we've always had a fee schedule set up, something like that, so that when we're requested or asked, we can just hand that fee schedule out, the one that has our insignia and our CAS accreditation insignia on top. Sue also asked that we add the intercept on there. So in the past, and I think I tried to explain that in the email yesterday, in the past, we always had this formula, and it was a billing nightmare, because if we intercepted, the people that called us would get a percentage of the call, we'd get a percentage of the call, and as I've spoken with other people and other chiefs and other people that are in charge of EMS, a lot of them are going to this flat rate. If we get called to intercept for our ALS skills and the ambulance service that is requesting us still transports, they get a $500 fee for our intercept skills. If we take that patient and put them in our ambulance and take them, then we're going to treat it just like it was our ambulance call. We're going to bill just like it was we went and picked them up, because really that's what we're doing anyhow. So, and then the lift assist. In the past, we've always had a lift assist policy. I don't think it was ever enforced, and I think it was $115. And I think simply because our previous billing agent couldn't track them, so every time we would want to bill, we would have to get a hold of them and say, you need to start billing this address, whatever it was. So somebody in-house had to track that all the time. Our new billing agent will actually track lift assists. So like if they start to see a lift assist, whichever category they fall into, this last year we've gotten a lot of requests from nursing homes and ALRs to come and pick people up off the floor because they only have one person on duty. And I think that's an injustice to the people of those nursing homes. We're still going to go and pick them up because, obviously we're not going to leave them laying on the floor, but I think that nursing home should make that fee payment with every call we go to those nursing homes. I also said in the email that we get some people that call us a lot, so that's why, like across the board, kind of an average is, every resident in the city can have 3 in a month and 6 in a year. And I say in there, it's not so much the injustice, it's just that if we're going to enable people to keep calling, they're going to just stay there and not have any help. they're going to end up in a nursing home, because every time you fall, you increase the chances of that morbidity and mortality rate or injury, exponentially. So we try it. When we get people like that, we try and work with social services to get them help, in-home nurses and stuff, but people a lot of times don't want to do that, and I think if we would start to enforce this, maybe that would get them to at least accept the help. We're not trying to force people out of their home, but we're trying to get them to accept the help. So I think that may help with that decision on their process, so that we can prevent them from falling. So, and that's the two on the bottom that I tried to explain in the email yesterday. The intercept would just be easy. Sue, also with our mutual aid contracts can just refer to this fee schedule instead of trying to put a number to that and then having to change it if we ever do that. The contract would just say, as per the fee schedule. So if in 2 years we change this and the contract's still in place, we don't got to go back and redo contracts on them. Other than that, if you got questions.
So you just said that the contracts we have in place remain in place. These are just the rates that get billed to the clients, right? Okay.
That's correct. And the mutual aid contracts I'm talking about is, by statute, we have to have mutual aid ambulances in case we get really busy or a fire. And those contracts are due, and Sue's been working on those and asked if we could include the intercept fee in here so she didn't have to put a number in there with every single one of them. So our 3 that we have around us in those with the mutual aid contracts are coming due. So that was the reason for that being placed on there.
Jay?
So these rates that they've set or suggested, can we collect this? The rates are set by Medicare and Medicaid, correct? And is this within their range?
So this would be for insurance paying people, private paying people. Yes, you're correct. When we bill Medicare and Medicaid, you only get so much. I will tell you that Medicaid actually increased by 40% this year, which doesn't mean a whole lot on what we collect, but I don't know if you've been following the legislation. Governor Evers put a plan in place that's we collect right now about 38% on Medicaid. He put a plan in place that's going to allow a payment to all, because municipal services supply about 83% of the ambulance service in the state. It's going to allow for the collection of that other 68% through this new plan, which means that that brings Medicare up to the Medicaid payments, which is, it's much better. It's not these prices, but it's a tremendous amount better. So yes, you're right. Medicare and Medicaid are going to pay only their amount up till their write-offs.
Okay, so this schedule doesn't affect those. It doesn't affect those, correct?
No.
Thank you.
Can I interject here?
Yes, go ahead.
We got notice today the Assembly passes a bill creating Medicare supplemental payments for municipal EMS, and that's kind of what Tom was alluding to. So it passed the Assembly, and now it's going to go to the Senate floor for a vote. So that's kind of the status of that legislation, increasing those Medicaid payments.
Okay. Jake?
So currently, that's just a bill would need to pass the Senate.
The one that will take it up to that 62% that we're not getting paid right now is a bill, but as of January 1 this year, Medicaid payments jumped. And don't quote me, but maybe Tim knows exactly, but I think it's like 40%. So we should already be collecting a higher amount on Medicaid. This bill will actually supplement that to bring it up to the Medicare level. So.
Yeah, there's the Medicare and then the Medicaid, and I think the state is looking at to kind of go in concert with the Medicare, and that's the purpose of this bill. So it's like I said, it passed Assembly to a vote of 94-1. So feel pretty confident that the floor will pass it and the governor will sign it.
Okay. Jake?
I got a few questions here.
Okay.
And some comments too. I just want to start with that I appreciate your guys' work on this. I think this is a huge step. I mean, just looking at what the rates are currently to the proposed rates and the amount of revenue, that's going to bring in, I think is a huge win for making the rates appropriate for the services we provide. So thank you for your work on that. I also appreciate seeing that the resident rate is $200 cheaper than the non-resident rate. Obviously for a number of reasons, being that we do provide the service and the taxpayers here do pick up a large portion of the bill for EMS services. A couple questions to clarify here. So the nursing homes, are we providing them with lift assist, or is this only in-home?
That's one of the reasons why I want lift assists in nursing homes and ALRs that should be taking care of those people on their own to start automatically. There's no 3 in a month and 6 in a year. It's every time we go there, you're going to get charged a lift assist fee. And LifeQuest has, I was hesitant on this when they were talking about it because I thought, well, they're just going to transfer this to the patient and the patient's going to end up paying for it anyhow. LifeQuest has promised us that there is nobody's name attached to it. So when they get a bill at the end, and they said that they may wait for a couple months so they got more than one lift assist, so they can't associate it with any certain patient, so that it actually is the facility that's going to be paying the lift assist instead of the patient themselves. So yes, we do. I mean, if we don't, we're going to end up going there for an ambulance call. People can't lay on the floor. We got to do what's right and get them up off the floor. So I don't have any authority to tell them you have to have 2 people on at night, to help lift these people off the floors at nursing homes, but we want to take care of the patients.
Right. And in-home, you said you guys get calls for that. Is that we're going to charge lift assist for that, or what were you discussing there when you said you're thinking about, we do that, it's a service that's necessary, but...
Right, so, I mean, we're still gonna go and pick people up. There's no question in that. That those numbers are, a lot of times we'll get called once or twice in a month, and these people wouldn't even be charged for those once or twice. It's when it starts to get excessive. 3 times in a month, 6 times in a year, these are people that should be getting some help because they can't live by themselves. They're falling for whatever reason. They can't ambulate well. They really need some in-home care. We start that as soon as we see that. We start working with social services to try to get them the help they need, but I don't know if you've ever done any studies on the elderly. They don't want to leave their home. So the last thing they want is somebody to come in there and then say, well, you should go into a nursing home. So if we can get them help, like in-home care, and stop them from falling and getting injured, the better chances of them being able to survive in their home and stay in their home. So that's the premise of this, is to try to not force them, but initiate them to think about, well, I really should get some help because now I'm going to have to start paying these,
And who's tracking the falls per month, per 6 months? Is that LifeQuest?
LifeQuest will be tracking those. When we go there, it'll be a lift assist, so we mark that in the run report as a lift assist. Those are the trigger words. They'll track them.
Are we lift assisting outside the city limits?
Oh, yeah.
Free for a certain number?
Yep.
So that's part of all those EMS contracts we currently have?
Yep.
Okay. And then when we get to the point where they've run out of assists without being billed, who has that conversation with the client?
They'll get a notice from LifeQuest saying that they have reached their allowable amount of free lift assist per se, so that they know that they're going to get billed for them. With regards to the nursing homes, it was our intentions, or at least my intentions, is to form a letter, and actually LifeQuest has some letters that they sent us to be able to use in a nice way, that here's why we need to do this. We need to keep ambulances on the road for true 911 calls, and you should be taking care of your patients, and for that reason, you will be charged for lift assist starting on this date. And that would be when we start with LifeQuest, I would say, because that's when the tracking would always start with all this lift assist. So.
And then my final question might be more in Tim's realm, but do we have an estimate on how much revenue this will potentially bring in for EMS services?
Sure. I was looking at that earlier this afternoon, and the hard part is not knowing we have a historical mix of a lot of Medicare heavy type runs. And so you have that, write down. So I kind of look back at some historical information. Obviously the rates are going up between 40 and 45%. And, I'm kind of estimating, and this is a very rough number, about 200,000, hopefully. But like I said, I think over the years, I'm looking back at when we used to do it internally, and I had some good statistical information. I'm hoping LifeQuest can provide a little bit better data as far as the run numbers and the Medicare write-offs. But looking at our historical write-off percentage, I'm looking right around 189,000, possibly.
In additional revenue?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. I think this all looks great. It's a huge step. I like that you hit on the point that these were all done in the last 2 years because of COVID. That was one of my questions. See that these aren't rates that might change next year, and then we're behind again, constantly trailing 2 years out. I guess my final question or comment really would just be that it's a little bit of both. For the lift assist in the contracts, is that typical when you contract out that it's we will go out to, let's say, Nakusa for lift assist the same we would go to Rapids? That was in our contract, and that's how other municipalities contract as well?
Yeah, when you take a service or whatever, like if you're going to give service as an ambulance service to an area, you're going to have to assume all the ambulance service duties. And I could tell you that, like Marshfield, they've got a big rural area. They go all the way out in the town of Sherry, and they go out there for lift assist. Stevens Point goes out into the county for lift assist. It's part of EMS, it's not the glory part, but the ramifications of leaving somebody on a floor can be death. I mean, people die because they lay on the floor and have what's called rhabdomyolysis, and it plugs up their kidneys and they die of renal disease. So it is a necessary part of EMS service. I can, maybe to ease your not worries, but thoughts of, waiting 2 years. With LifeQuest, they'll run this type of analysis for us every single year. So we could run this again next year and see if we're keeping up or not. So I think they're a good service. So we should be happy. I mean, I'm happy we're going to be with them because I think they can offer us a lot more than what we had previously.
Thank you. The last thing is I'll just say that I think we should have LifeQuest run this every year as long as we're with them. I mean, a bump of 198,000 in revenue for EMS services to get them at the market rate is huge. And just to know that every year we're not doing that study and we're not at, say, the market rate, we're coming in under, and that's less money that goes into our EMS fire budget. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the new ambulance fee schedule.
Motion is second on that. Mayor?
Got a question. Todd, for what is SCT? I see we weren't charging and now we're charging for that.
We were charging for that before. It's a specialty care transport. That's our critical care level transport. So this is the hospital calls and says, we've got a STEMI, so that's the heart attack, the blockage. It's only certain things that fit in that category. You got to have so many drugs running. There's got to be somebody intubated, something like that. There's only so many things that fit in that category. But that is probably the one that you're always going to get your payment on because it's usually paid by insurance. So
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the new ambulance fee service rates. There's no other questions. Committee will vote. All in favor respond by aye. Aye. Opposed, ayes have it, 3-0. Thank you. Thanks, Todd. Now we'll go to item number 3. Consider request from the engineering department to review easement request on parcel 34-09841 for ATC's transmission line project. Joe?
So ATC is looking for an easement from the city for city-owned property. This property is in the Rapids East Commerce Center, north of Commerce Drive. It's west of 48th Street. So on the north side of this property, it's a triangular-shaped piece of property. CN has mainline rail on the north side, and then within city property as an easement, ATC has an existing transmission line. And so they've got a project that they're working on to rehab that existing line. And as part of that, they're going through all of their easements from the Coin substation to the Plover substation and making sure that they've got all of the necessary real estate for their existing line. And what they found is that there's 3,251 square feet of land shown on Exhibit B that, for whatever reason, existing easements didn't account for that, and they're requesting to secure that easement from the city. And so we went through the documents, reviewed everything. They made a couple changes for us based upon their appraisal. The easement compensation is $600. There's also on Exhibit A, with permission of the city, another compensation of $500 for allowing them to control weeds and brush using herbicides. And then there's an additional portion that city could authorize them to ingress and egress any land beyond the boundaries of the easement for an additional $500 in compensation. I guess as far as a recommendation goes, the language in the easement document is satisfactory. They're primarily just filling in the existing easement locations. I don't see any issues with their request. I'm indifferent on the herbicides, but then do have concerns with authorizing use of ingress and egress anywhere across any of the city lands. That might encumber the site for some future sale. So that might be something that, at least for consideration of the committee, to not authorize that portion of Exhibit A.
Jay?
These fees, are they one-time fees or are they annual fees or?
I believe they are one-time fees.
Thank you.
Jake?
Do they use the herbicide in the other parts around there?
That's a good question. Nothing that I recall reviewing in the pre-existing easement paperwork did I run across that. That is certainly something that I'd hope that the company or firm that's in charge of doing the acquisitions, she wasn't sure if she could make the meeting, but I don't think she's on Zoom, so we could ask and find out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they use herbicide already in the easements around there, it's not a big deal, but if they just start spraying over there, I'd be curious to see what else is over there, what, the thoughts were on that.
Sure.
From someone who knows more about that. So, I mean, I'll make a motion that we, and this is a sale,
Yes.
approve the sale of the easement to the ATC transmission line project, excluding the herbicide treatment and ingress and egress. That's just for now until we have more information on it.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Tom, can you tell me who motion or made the second?
Jay Bempke.
Thank you.
Hearing none, committee will vote. All in favor, respond by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, ayes have it. With that, we can go to item number 4. Actually, 4 and 5 are together, but we can do them one at a time. Consider request from Stanley Shell Incorporated, DBA A to Z Mini Mart. Hathan, excuse how I say the name, Azudab Dibban, agent for a Class A fermented malt beverages and Class A intoxicating liquor license for the premises located at 2411 8th Street South. Anybody? Jake?
Jennifer, do we have any issues? I'm assuming these are, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. Committee will vote. All in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, ayes have it. Item 5, consider request.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Hello, this is Deborah Zimmerman. Say, I'm attending for ATC, and it sounds like I just got added on. And it sounds like you're on number 4 already. Was number 3 for the request for the ATC transmission line easement, was that already reviewed? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I must be late to the meeting then. Okay. Yeah, is there any questions, comments?
Can we go back?
I'm with me.
Sounds good. So the questions, and we left them out at this time, and now our city engineers left but they were regarding the herbicide and ingress and egress. If you could speak to
The egress, there's questions on the ingress and egress and the herbicide, is that it?
yeah, if you could speak to those, wondering if the herbicide is already used in that area and the other parts, and why the request for the ingress egress on the easement.
Okay. Yeah, the herbicide, they use that on the woody vegetation. So if there's no trees in the area or woody bushes, they're not going to be using it. They're not going to use it on blacktop or grass or lawn or perennials. It's to prevent the woody regrowth of the vegetation that could grow up and pose a hazard or a threat to the transmission lines. And for the ingress and egress, that's and the payment for the herbicide is $500, and that's voluntary. The the ingress egress, that is for that if they cannot access from their easement, which this is right along the transmission line, so they should be able to access. It gives them the ability to access across the property to that easement. Hello?
Yep. So
Oh,
I think we own the entire parcel of property, right? If they wanted to go across, that shouldn't be an issue.
right. If they needed to get to their easement, they didn't have the ability to get to it from the rest of the easement. They would access the property outside of the easement to get to the easement.
Tom, we've already taken action on this, and I guess to do it, to reverse that action or even consider it, I think Joe has to be here. So, yes?
So what was the ask?
It was. Yeah, excuse me, now I'm back on. This will be brought up at our council meeting in 2 weeks. If you could attend that in person or how you are right now, that'd be appreciated.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I can do that.
We start at 6 o'clock. I'm not sure what time we'd get to that part of the agenda, but, so. We can keep you up to speed on that.
Okay, yeah,
Remind
keep me
you,
up to
remind you of
speed.
the date,
But
we can remind you of the date and everything too, so, time.
I'll have Joe get a hold
Okay.
of them tomorrow.
Okay. All right?
Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Yep, bye.
Item 6, consider for approval a temporary retail Class B, number 5, I jumped over it. Consider a request from Stanley Shell, DBA A to Z Fast Mini Mart for a Class A fermented malt beverages and Class A intoxicating liquor license for the premises located at 366 8th Street South.
I'll move to approve.
Motion is second to approve. If there's no further discussion, committee will vote. All in favor, respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. 6, consider for approval a temporary retail Class B fermented malt beverages license for Central Wisconsin Cultural Center, 2651 8th Street South, for Cranberry Art Exhibit opening to be held on Thursday, April 14th, 2022, from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This is basically what they've done in the past for different things, isn't it? I think so.
Move to approve.
Second? If there's no further questions, committee will vote. All in favor, respond by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. 7, consider for approval temporary retail Class B fermented malt beverages license for Central Wisconsin Cultural Center, 2651 8th Street South, for an open mic event to be held on Friday, March 25th, 2022, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
I'll move to approve.
Okay. A motion is second to approve. I don't recall, have they done this before with the open mic event? Okay, that just kind of rang a new bell. I mean, had for other things they've had there, but I didn't remember them open mic, so. Okay. All right, committee will vote. All in favor, respond by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, ayes have it. Item 8, discuss issuance of 2022 general obligation promissory notes. Tim, are you
Yes,
still with us?
Tom, yes, I am. So, in the attachment, that was in the 2022 budget, we have various projects that are to be funded by the issuance of GO promissory notes, that being 9th Avenue North, McKinley Street to Fremont, Cherry Street, Riverview Drive to First Street North, Fremont Streets, both Fremont Streets, 13th Avenue North to 14th and 7th Avenue to 10th Avenue, and the Smith Street, Railroad Street to Riverview Drive. Also, in that amount is the West Jackson Street reconstruction, which is an STP urban, which requires a 20% match from the city. These don't normally occur every year, and that was for $807,000. So we have new debt being issued for $2.3 million to fund those projects. Also, back in 2020, we took out taxable known anticipation notes of $2,035,000 to fund the aquatics center. And the reason why we issued taxable debt, because at the time We were hoping to, attract donations for naming rights of various things, and due to IRS rules, if someone puts their name on something, then you get into the nuances of tax exempt debt, so we issued taxable notes. From that, we've acquired $500,000 of matching funds, and I'm also proposing a transfer of general fund reserves of $750,000, so we're reducing the amount that we have to refinance for those 2-year notes from $2.3 million to $785,000. And then we have debt issuance costs of $90,000, so we're proposing an estimated $3.181 million notes, and I'm guessing I'm looking for guidance to proceed with the issuance of those. Also, at the March council meeting, I'm going to have Phil Cosson from Illers give you a presentation on the city's debt portfolio and present that to the council at the beginning of the meeting. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have anything right now? I don't think so. Tim?
All right. I guess
Okay.
at this point, I would just maybe entertain a motion to proceed with the issuance of the 2022 GO promissory notes.
So moved.
Jake seconded. Committee, all in favor, respond by aye. Aye. Opposed, ayes have it. That brings us to number 9, audit of the bills.
Motion to approve checks number 11596 to 11991.
I'll second that. There's no questions. Committee will vote. All in favor, respond by aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Number 10, set the next meeting date. The next meeting date would be Tuesday, April 5th. And if nobody has any objections, we can keep that date. It is the date of the spring elections. I did talk to Jennifer, and that seems to be okay with her, that we could keep the date unless others say need to change it. So if not, we'll keep that as the date, and 4:30 as the time. I guess if there's a need to change between now and then, let us know. So we'll have so then we'll get to item 11, that's adjourned. Second, moving in second to adjourn. Committee, all in favor, respond by aye. Aye. Opposed, ayes have it. The meeting's adjourned at 5:09 p.m. Thank you.